Okay, today I'm going to attempt installing additional spray nozzles to clean my headlights. This is my 2020 Subaru WRX, and I did some previous research, made a previous video to find out what I need, and today I'm going to tackle the job. So here, let's have a look at the supplies that I need. I got some 16 gauge wire, I got red and black, because I'm going to have to install a second pump, which is over here. This is a Subaru OEM part. This is the same pump that's installed, and the good thing is this model, this car, has an additional slot on the windshield washer reservoir tank, and you can connect this guy. Unfortunately, it doesn't have a connector, so somehow power needs to go in here. So I made a little makeshift solution here. And I got these female quick connectors. These are for 16, the 14 gauge wire. And what I did here, I made a little connector and I put some shrink tubing on it so it's waterproof. And this connects right into the pump here. You have to put it sideways like this. Doesn't work like this because it's a little too big. But if you put it sideways like this, it actually connects right in. So my intent is to splice into the existing connector, into the lines, and then connect this one. Additionally, what you will need, these spray nozzles. These are the exact same ones that are over here in the windshield. I also got a touch-up pen for this specific color. Doesn't look that fantastic, but better than black. And I need 2 of these. In addition, for the pump, you need this. This is the grommet that connects the pump here to the tank in here. And this is the breather tube that connects right onto this little guy down here. And then, of course, you need some tubing to run from the pump outlet over here. I think this is the breather connection. I think I showed that wrong earlier. This is the breather. I think this is the outlet. We'll verify on the other pump. And then you'll run it over to here where the bumper sits. And I already removed the bumper last time. And look, there's plenty of room down here below the headlight, somewhere here. I was thinking maybe put it over here, so it sprays right into this headlight. I'll experiment a little bit when the bumper's off, find the best position. And what I'm going to do, we're going to have to drill into this. So I asked the dealership how they do that, and they said as long as the bumper is fairly warm, it should be super easy. Just use the smallest drill first, do a starter hole, and then increase in drill size, and you should actually be able to cut it out with an X-Acto knife, because it's not just the hole that we need. I'm going to demonstrate that over here. I measured it's about 11 millimeters. You can actually pull this guy out pretty easily. Last time it worked. Let's see if I can do it again. Come on. No, this time he's pretty much in there. Wow. Okay, I'll have to do this with 2 hands while not holding a phone. Regardless, we'll have to take the bumper off, and so we can access the tank. I'll have to empty it, install the second pump, hook it up, and then connect the tubing. And then it's up to finding the right spot for the nozzle on the bumper. To be continued. Okay, step number 2. Bumper's off. There's a very nice, easy video on how to do this. I was actually a little scared about doing this, but it's not that bad. It's actually just clips and a few screws on the top here. So it's pretty okay. I used this sleeping mat to place the bumper on, and I'd also like to work on it if you have to go down under to loosen up all those plugs and bolts and whatever they're called. You need to go deep down unless you have a lift, which I don't. You need to be on the ground, and this thing actually makes it easier. So let's have a look at the side here, because this is where the magic happens. You also have to disconnect the fog lights, by the way, but hey, no big deal. It's all explained in the video. So let's have a look at our tank here. All right. Primary pump, breather hose, outlet. Oh, I was wrong. The breather goes on the top. Okay, whatever. We'll do the same thing as this. So in here, it's all the tubing that goes up and goes over and it goes higher into the engine bay and then to the nozzles. And this is actually pretty cool. So see this? There's actually a spot right here for the second pump over here. Right there. This is where you can put the second pump. You have to drill a hole here. But I think they're using the same tank for all the models. So my goal will be to take this pump off, drain the tank, and then we'll drill a hole into this, mount the second pump, cut into this guy here. We'll have to probably remove all the insulation here. See, we have red, 2 wires. This, I think, is just an airbag sensor. So I asked the dealership if they had this connector, and they said no. It would have to be the whole wiring harness, and that's a little too much. And probably super expensive. So we'll have to take this connector and look at the way it's wired and splice into these 2 wires and then put the next one right over here. I already prepared this. And then we'll see how we go about placing the nozzles. I think what I'm going to do next, I'm going to put the pump there and connect the nozzles. And I'm going to just experiment by probably just holding them in front of the headlight and have someone press the sprayer arm to see what's the best position. And then I'm going to figure out how to get into this bumper. It's fairly soft. So they said at the dealership you can use an X-Acto knife to cut into this. So we'll see if that works. So I'm going to proceed with the tank. Okay, so quick update. I installed the second pump, and I had to get a special type of drill to get into to install the pump here on the tank. What I used was where is it? There's this little guy. This is I think it's a 3/4. If I see that right, 3/4 inch. It's a little bit too big, tiny bit too big. It's a little more play in that hole than the other one. However, what I did, I put the grommet on it, and the grommet is moving around a little more than with pump number 1 over here. So I just applied a little bit of crazy glue onto the grommet so it sits there tightly. As for electrical, you can see here, this is an amateur's job at best. This connection I was able to solder and put a shrink tubing on top. It's pretty tight. The problem is this wire is already pretty short, and if you cut into it and you strip the wires, both ends, and then you twist them around the new one that you tie into, the red one. So there's a thick one here, that's what I did. There's a thick one here, and the other one is a little thinner. So I used the red wire for thick and the black one for thin, and then they go left and right respectively. And with the connectors that I showed earlier, I'm going to show them again here. Let me get one out to show how this actually connects. So you take your wire, and it goes sideways on the pump. Not you don't put it on it like this. You have to twist it around, and there's one position, it's one or the other, that makes it sit tightly on the connector on the pump. Otherwise, if you put it one way, it easily slides out. So just rotate it and push it on there. It sits on it pretty firmly. So if I tug on it, it doesn't really come out. It's really tight in there, and I used shrink tubing on all of these because we're dealing with water here. It's low voltage. Still, you should do as good a job as you can. This one I used a wire nut just because my soldering iron was not working. Maybe I'll try to solder it after all. We'll see how that goes. Like I said, the wires are pretty short. And so I hooked up the second pump, put the breather hose on it, and then just put this in a bucket here and just turn it on, spray it for a little bit. As you can see, there's some liquid in there. It was empty before, so it works like a charm. So now I have to just find out where will I place the nozzle on the bumper. So that's going to be the next step, finding the nozzle location for this. And then the dirty work, which is making a hole in the bumper and making sure that works. So before I do that, I want to make really sure that this is the spot I want and it will work. Okay, next update. So I tackled the bumper part finally, and this is hole number 1 that I made. So here's how I did it. I started with a really small hole and then worked my way up the drill bit, and then I used an X-Acto knife, like the dealership guy said, the repair guy, the tech. He was right. So just slowly cut around, cut out these parts here, go little by little outward, and then I just put the nozzle in there and checked how tight it was, and I need to cut a little more. I do have protective film on this bumper, so that's why it peeled off a little bit, but you can cut it up with the X-Acto. One thing you have to keep in mind is that because these nozzles here, they have these clips, so you see the clearance between where it sticks out on the side here and the actual nozzle. This is where the bumper, physically, the bumper material will go in. And this is going to be pretty tight, because if you cut it out with an X-Acto, there's going to be pieces sticking out in the bottom. So you have to actually take the bumper, turn it over, and make sure that you remove all the cutout material on the underside here to make these fit. What I actually had to end up doing on this nozzle, it just fell down here. It's still connected. So I had to take a file. And just make this space a little bigger so the bumper fit. Just make the space between here and this nose here a little bigger. Just file this piece down here. File it a little down and it would fit. That's what I had to do. You have to experiment and see what works for you. So with this, I can show now, I have the nozzle over here. I'm getting ready to do side number 2. I already prepared the hole. So with this, I'm just going to put this over here. Now, of course, it falls down. And with this, I can show you how it actually nicely goes click, click, like it should. See, it's pretty flush. The problem with this is, as you can see, the surface is a little curved. So that's why you need a little more clearance to make it fit. It actually looks nice. If I zoom out like this, well, this looks pretty good. And I did some testing, so it definitely has to be in that area. The good thing is you can adjust that nozzle, so you can point it to the right a little more and up. That's probably where we have to put it. And we'll have to see how it works in the end. But I have a pretty good idea. So this is number 2. I'm going to do the same thing. I'm going to use my little heat gun here, lowest setting. Go easy on the heat so you don't crack the bumper or damage the paint. And then I'm going to start cutting basically with the X-Acto. And I can show that here. I have to switch hands because I'm right-handed, so I cut like this. One incision here, one here. I'm just doing this roughly. And then the same over here. Here and here. And then slowly, start small and put the nozzle in, see how much more you have to cut, because you cannot uncut. So it's better to cut a little less and then keep going and keep going. And then once the nozzle fits, the next step is just to put the tubing in. I have to find a good way to route it. Maybe I'll route it through the engine bay, maybe I'll route it around the bumper in here somewhere, I don't know. I'll have to figure it out. So I'll proceed with hole number 2 on the passenger side, and then we'll see how we can connect the tubing. Okay, so now I'm working on putting the supply lines in. So this popped out, not good, so I have to fix that again. So what I did, show this in here, put bumper away. I put the T down here. So this is where it connects to the pump. I hooked it up here on the connector here. I put the T in here. T line then branches off to nozzle number 1 on the driver's side. And then I funneled it through here. And it comes up right here. Let's see. I can see it. There it is. That's the line. I'm gonna wiggle it. Where is it? Here. This one. Oops. There it is. And I just tucked it under here. You have to remove a few clips. You have to remove this panel here. I just removed it. I just removed the clips so I could tuck it under. And then I can tuck the line under here. It's right in front of the radiator. You can see how it comes out here on this side. So I'm just gonna keep going down here, and then it should be the same setup as on the driver's side. Just go down here, go through, and come out in the front where the bumper is, right where the headlight is, right under the headlight here. And then we should be in business. I just have to make sure that this guy actually stays because it popped out in the front. You can see that here, it popped out. Probably because the clearance is not enough, or I need to make the hole a little bit bigger. The passenger side was actually very smooth, very easy. Looks nice. It's flush. Looks really good. Or it looks like the paint I put on it peeled kind of off. Maybe I'll paint it again and install it. It's really nicely flush and done. That looks really good, I think. And now the question is just, is it gonna work? Is this actually gonna clean the headlights? I am sure there's gonna be some adjustment needed, but I guess the next step is just to connect it up, hook the bumper, and give it a test run. So this passenger side is now connected. Line runs down here, and it runs up here. And this is what I did. I made it really nice and neat looking. You can see I ran it all along here, and just over here, and then down. And see, it goes down there, and this is where it came from earlier. I'm just probably going to secure it with some zip ties. Goes over here, under this piece here. There it is. Comes out over here, and then goes down to the T. There's the T. There it is. Here's the T piece. So I'm going to secure this as well. You don't want to have this move around too much when you drive, to make noise and so on. Everything else looks really good. Next step, I'm gonna just put everything back together, put the bumper on, just hook it on, secure it with one screw, and then just give it a test run. Okay, here's something I noticed. I was ready to put on the bumper again, and I noticed that there was some resistance. And I think the issue is I'm routing this tube from the bottom. However, this part will sit on top of here. It will connect into here. So the tube has to come out here on this side, right below the headlight. Otherwise, it's going to impinge on this. It's gonna squash the tubing. We're not gonna get enough pressure. I'm gonna get problems. So I'm going to have to reroute it. The tubing on both sides come out on top of here. Maybe I can route it through here and secure it with some zip ties. I already secured it over here to this existing lines over here. You can see here I just secured it to the tank, the T, which is nice. It doesn't impinge anything, and it's clean, and it doesn't move around and make noise. So I'm going to have to reroute and see how I can do that. Okay, so this is the final product. I don't know if you can see it, but I just tested it. It works perfectly fine. You can adjust the nozzles a little left and right. There's a little bit of overspray. As we can see here, the headlight gets mostly sprayed in the lower section, not up here, because it's pretty close. I know it's not perfectly symmetrical. This one is pointed a little more towards the inside of the car. This one a little more to the outside. But you know what? If I look at the lights, they got sprayed. And that was the purpose of this. And I could imagine if we angle it maybe a little different, put something under here to make it come up a little bit, That would help. I just didn't want to put it too far on the outside because of the structural integrity of the bumper. Didn't want to put it further here as well. For the same reason, and over here, I would have to have it spray here at a very, very large angle. So that would be pretty difficult. So I think I'm good. The bumper is just clipped in right now. I'm holding it with one bolt up on the top. And now I'm going to just fill up everything. Fill the water, the spray water back in. And put all the clips back in, and then I'm good to go. And if there's any questions, please put them in the comments below, and I'll be happy to answer them. Okay, little addendum here just to show what it actually looks like when it sprays. My pretty assistant will now use the spray system. Stop. And we're going to show the other side as well. Go. Thank you. As we can see, the headlight looks a lot cleaner now.